What's going on, everyone? Let's talk about Jaxson Hayes a little bit. I haven't really talked about Jaxson Hayes that much this season, much as I probably should have. But Jaxson Hayes, in the absence of Anthony Davis, yes, Anthony Davis did play a little bit in the first quarter, but then he ends up getting hurt and he ends up missing, and Jaxson Hayes ended up having to step up. And he did an excellent job stepping up and filling in the role. Came in 8 of 9 from the field, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 5 steals. He was doing a little bit of everything on the basketball court, even on the defensive side for the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, look, when we signed Jaxson Hayes, I was super pumped. Now, I didn't necessarily expect Jaxson Hayes to be our primary backup off the bench, but I did think that, hey, he's a guy that could get some real minutes on this roster, that could play alongside Anthony Davis, that could play alongside, if you get another big or whatever. And then when we eventually got Christian Wood, it was like, okay, Jaxson Hayes, Wood, okay, I could see that. Jaxson Hayes is a guy that he's a project big, right? He's a guy that is still incredibly young enough to have been drafted in last year's draft. This is a guy that the Lakers were high on. He's got ridiculous athleticism. I mean, the dude's got the bunnies without a doubt, right? And the way he runs the floor, right? He is so and can potentially be even more value, right? He's a guy that I really think that with the proper just development, understanding, and feel of the game, uh, discipline, those are the things that I think Jaxson Hayes can really shine and be a quality big in this league. Whether it is a starting level alongside an Anthony Davis in the near future, or it's in it just your first big off the bench in a quality backup role, right? I do think that there is some real versatility and some real potential when it comes to Jaxson Hayes. I was, again, pumped with him. He's a guy that, you can run the pick and roll with. He's an absolute lob threat. He's got that little like hook shot, turn around, one-hander. He's a guy that runs the floor well, especially for a big. He's got a lot of the tools that you want. But you see, he's not incredibly disciplined. Can he block shots? Can he get steals? Does he have these moments where you're like, oh, okay, yes. But you also see a lot of times where, he will bite on the fake, or not rotate properly, or have his hands down, or the little things that are the disciplines to where he starts getting into foul trouble and whatnot. And yeah, he's had some great, brilliant moments, some great, brilliant games, some highlight plays. I mean, the guy has, it's like a regular highlight reel. He's so fun to watch when he's on the basketball court. But when you start seeing him play 30 minutes or so, you really start to see some of the flaws. You really start to see some of the lack of disciplines, right? And I do think as he starts developing into his grown man body, he starts putting on a little muscle, right? He gets better with moving his feet and the understanding and feel of the game, the understanding of positioning, the understanding of just timing and the things that you see, right? To me, I hope Jaxson Hayes sticks around, because he could end up leaving. But I think for Hayes' sake, as well as for the Lakers, I think both sides could really benefit from each other. I think, one, Jaxson Hayes being able to learn from Anthony Davis, who is, in my opinion, the best defensive player in the league, especially from a big man standpoint. Jaxson Hayes could really develop, right? Great example was you saw Rui Hachimura and the strides that he took, just hanging out, sticking around, working out with LeBron James all offseason. If I'm Jaxson Hayes this offseason, I'm opting in. I'm going to Anthony Davis and going, hey, whatever you do, I'm doing this offseason. And I'm gluing to him at the hip, and I'm just picking his brain, and I'm learning how do you defend this? How do you do this? How do you do that? Because of his athleticism and his ability to move and his lateral quickness and stuff, he's a guy that he already was one of the better pick and roll defensive bigs. I think he can have some real impact on the defensive side of the basketball. His ability as a help side, blind side defensive guy. I think also he's a guy that could eventually be that legitimate defensive threat that you could pair alongside Anthony Davis, especially if he's learning from AD. And it's like, could you imagine if he's like even just like a greatly poor man Anthony Davis on the defensive side, right? I'm not talking about the offense and the bag and everything and the superstar level that Anthony Davis is. I'm talking about strictly on the defensive side, where he has the timing down, he has the understanding, he has the disciplines that you want to see that Anthony Davis has, and his ability to just rebound and use his athleticism and block shots and defend in the pick and roll and defend out on the perimeter. Like, we've seen a lot of the versatility with Jaxson Hayes this season, although small sample sizes. And so you see the potential and possibilities. You see the things that you look at and go, oh man, like I could really see that translated. And if he could just develop that better, man, imagine what he could do. Again, if he could be a 20% version of Anthony Davis that you're pairing alongside Anthony Davis, good luck scoring on the interior. Because again, Jaxson Hayes has such great athleticism, has such great foot speed for a big man, can move his feet well, can navigate the pick and roll at times. So if you give Anthony Davis that piece and that pairing alongside, I mean, the sky's the limit for the Lakers at that point on the defense side. And even worst case scenario, even if he just comes in as like a defensive rebounding, lob threading big that plays 15 minutes a game, but he's actually like a consistent, valuable piece. I mean, that's huge for the Lakers. Right? Like, let's say Colin Castleton, right? Let's say he ends up developing and he ends up becoming the clear, okay, like just his versatility, his passing, his playmaking, like everything, right? He's the starting big man, right? But then you have Jaxson Hayes off the bench that can come in, and yeah, he's not the offensive threat that Jaxson Hayes or that Colin Castleton is, or the playmaker that Castleton is, but man, Jaxson Hayes, he's the defensive player, right? He's the guy that you want out there, just defending and holding it down when Anthony Davis misses a game or goes to the bench to get some rest. I really think Jaxson Hayes, also the relationship that he's building with the playmakers, you can see the value, right? I mean, him in the pick and roll it's been butter. I mean, Minnesota, like in that Minnesota game, D'Lo and Hayes were just torching Minnie. Like possession after possession. I mean, they had a stretch where like he got like 8 straight points in just like 4 sequences. And it was just because he just runs so well. He sets that pick, he slips, and he's just so athletic. You just throw it in the area and he just goes gets it. Right? And then also the luxury of like when you get into a fast break position and you're running down the court to know that you have that big man that's trailing and doing the hustle plays and doing the dirty work, right? And I know some people like even look at just the lack of rebounding at times. To me, a lot of that again kind of falls into the discipline. Once he really understands positioning and how to capitalize and really harness his athleticism, I think that is going to be huge. Because right now he's just kind of out there playing, right? He's not really an NBA player yet, right? I'm talking about in the sense of like you look at the big, even like a guy like an Andre Drummond, right? Like he is an NBA player now, right? He's one of the best, if not the best backup man. Rebounds, he can defend a little bit, does a little bit of everything, right? Like if Jaxson Hayes even just becomes a version of that, to where he's got his grown man body, he has the time, he has the understanding, right? He's able to start rebounding. He knows how to position himself and kind of use his athleticism to an advantage. I think he's a real piece. I think given the circumstances and him coming on board, I do think that he's done an excellent job this season, right? Has he been the best backup? Like, oh my God, no. But given that he was a project big man that had a bunch of upside and potential that the Lakers brought in as, I would imagine, originally their third backup big, who now has to play as the primary backup big, I just think he's done what you could ask for from him. And I think he's done it in stride. And you've seen the progress and the growth throughout the course of the season. And I want to see, what does that look like year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, right? Like, what does it look like 3 years from now, and he's starting to come into his own. He's 25, 26, and he's got his grown man body, and he's got his time, and he's got his understanding. Like, is he a legitimate big man threat? Is he a guy that you look at and go, man, like, I'm glad we kept him around? Right? Even if it's just in a backup role, right? Like I said, like, even if he just becomes like what Andre Drummond is right now for the Chicago Bulls, like, that's perfect. I mean, many of us were screaming, myself included, screaming for the Lakers to go get Andre Drummond at the trade deadline. Like, if we could grow and develop him into that, like, that's great. Right? You need those pieces. You need the big man that can run the floor and do the dirty work and rebound and block shots and just be a valuable piece in the rotation. Right? And I really do think Jaxson Hayes could be that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts on Jaxson Hayes so far? What'd you think of him stepping in against the Minnesota Timberwolves after Anthony Davis went down? Again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. When you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.